Back on the show is Cody Stamann, who, of course, is coming off an impressive win this past weekend at UFC 222, where he defeated Bryan Caraway on March 3rd. Cody, what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm feeling great. Couldn't be happier after the weekend.
Well, congratulations again on the win. What was the game plan heading into the fight, and do you feel like you kind of executed it?
I executed a couple, 2 out of 3 rounds, I would say. The game plan going in was stick and move. Hit him and get out. Knowing that Bryan is a guy that comes forward a lot. Knew that I had to, use my footwork and use angles to, move around and not be sitting in front of him. I came out pretty flat in the first round. That seems to be an issue my last couple of fights. And I kind of did exactly what I knew I shouldn't have done. I stood in front of him, tried to, trade punches with him, and he got a ton of shots off. I believe he took 23 shots in that fight, which is absolutely insane. But, yeah, I mean, after the first round, I kind of, regrouped, came back, and implemented the game plan in rounds 2 and 3.
And I know you said after the fight you weren't, 100% satisfied with your performance. What was sort of a few of the things in the fight that you felt you weren't happy with?
Well, it was just there was a lot of times when I had openings and I didn't pull the trigger, and I saw that, and I could see that in the fight film after I watched it. Honestly, after I watched the fight, I was a little bit happier with the way it turned out than, directly afterwards. Because directly afterwards, I kind of had that kind of gut feeling like there was more that I could have done, which is never a good feeling coming out of a fight. But yeah, just a ton of things to learn from. That was really my first real quality opponent. Top 10 opponent, number 7 in the world. So there's a ton of stuff I have to learn from this fight, and moving forward, I think it's going to make me a lot better all around.
So when you rewatched the fight, did you watch it with commentary on or no?
So the first time I did, that's a mistake because you kind of listen to what they're saying a lot.
That brings me to my next question, and TJ Laramie commented on this too. I felt Rogan was so biased towards Caraway in the fight. Did you notice that?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. I mean, last time I said that I felt like they were biased and they owed me an apology. It ended up, I had like 1 million people on YouTube calling me a pussy, so I'm not going to say that. But, yeah, I feel like Daniel Cormier was kind of like pushing towards me, and Joe Rogan was kind of pushing towards Bryan Caraway, like good cop, bad cop kind of thing they had going on. But, I mean, after that Duke and Off fight, I just learned that, it doesn't really matter what they say or, I'd realize they're probably just trying to do their job. They probably know a lot more about Bryan Caraway. Bryan Caraway being a submission guy. I think that, Joe Rogan really likes that kind of style of fighting. And Daniel Cormier being more of like a stand-up wrestler guy, I think, he kind of liked my style more.
Well, just sort of the two things, and you don't have to say anything, but just kind of my 2 cents on it was just that, they made it out like Caraway was like this big they made it out like he was on this losing streak coming in. He was on a winning streak. He was ranked. Like they made it out, I know that he had obviously a lot of stuff outside the cage, but they made it sound during the commentary like he needed to do this, and boy, he's looking really good. And it seemed like every time you were making a move, like they wouldn't point it out. So that was just my assessment. You don't have to say anything, but I thought that was kind of interesting how, it seemed like they were a little bit biased. Rogan was anyways, Joe Rogan, towards Caraway. But what about from the UFC? Was there any sort of feedback after the fight? Again, another win that, some people didn't think you were going to get, and you ended up getting it.
I definitely think that the UFC was super happy with the outcome in that fight. I think they want a new crop of guys, in the top 10. They want guys. They want the young, hungry guys. And a lot of times, when guys make that leap, you've seen it so many times, so many guys get opportunities to fight, top 10 opponents, guys that have been in there a long time, guys that have been in the top 10, they've been around around that level for a long time. They get those opportunities and they blow it, you know what I mean? And they don't win, or they lose close fights, and then, they go back. And, I was really fortunate to come out and, be able to get the victory and be able to kind of solidify myself as one of the best in the world. I don't think there's any doubt. No one can be like, well, Duke and Watt sucked, or, Terry Ware, it was his debut. No one can say that anymore. I just went out and beat a guy that, has beat, former champs, a guy that, was, beat 2 guys that were, in the top 5. So, and I feel like I just legitimized myself as the MMA fighter in the bantamweight division. No one could ever say that, I'm not a world, a world quality athlete now.
And it was a split decision. Were you surprised by that at all? Just with the fact that it was a split. I mean, just sort of looking at other people's timelines, it seemed like it was sort of split down the middle. Was that sort of what you thought when it went to the scorecards?
Yeah, I definitely thought I won 2 and 3. I thought there was no question about it. But that last 30 seconds, I think a lot of people thought that he kind of like stole that third round from me. But I don't think that you can win the first 4 minutes and 30 seconds of a fight and then steal it in the last 30. And I went and rewatched it. And really the only thing that happened in that last 30 seconds, I was throwing like hard knees to the body, and he was like just like kind of just throwing like these little rabbit punches on the inside. No one really landed anything hard. The only thing, he was in like an advantageous position, being that he had my back on the cage. And then I took a bad shot and, almost got caught in the guillotine, but I landed on top, with it, and I wasn't being choked. So it's kind of one of those things I could argue about it, but what's the point? You know what I mean? I won. There's no point arguing with people about it.
No, for sure. And just one more thing on Rogan. He, at the end of the fight, he's got him in a guillotine, and you could just see he had the one arm around you. It didn't look like you were caught or anything in that last.
I actually, I rewatched it, and I remember specifically, like, he did have it, and that's why I flipped to my back. I flipped as soon as he had it under my chin, and I know he's got a good guillotine choke, so I flipped over immediately, being like, I'm not going to get choked out in the last 5 seconds of this fight. I flipped over immediately, fought hands, got him off my chin, and then I came up on top, and the bell rang. So, like, had I had 5 more seconds, you would have saw me, like, try to hit him a few times in guard, but like the timing was just horrible for it. You know what I mean? It looked like, I was about to get choked, but really I was getting out, and I was about to, start, hitting him. I was on top, but, like I said, it really doesn't matter now because I won the fight.
Yeah, you got the win. Tom Duquesnoy has a lot of fans. I know after the win over him, people are calling your fight boring and this and that. But Bryan Caraway is not generally liked too much by the MMA population. What was sort of the feedback after this fight, as far as you getting the win on social media and everything?
I think the Bryan Caraway fans were like, I thought Bryan Caraway won, but everyone else thought it was a great fight. It was a nail biter. Everyone I talked to, my family, everyone was crying, and it was. It was pretty emotional, but I got on the phone with my mom, and my mom, she's bawling her eyes out. I'm like, Mom, what's going on? I won. She was like, Cody, oh my God, I've never been so like nervous at the end of a fight. She was like, that was like the only time I've ever seen you really step up and lose a round. So that was nerve wracking, knowing that that third round everything came down to that. So I felt like it was an exciting fight for people to watch. I think everyone back home really loved the fight, and if you didn't really know what was going on, Bryan and I were trading a lot of shots in there. We didn't have the greatest defense. We were both hitting each other quite a bit. So it was like, I think it was probably a fun fight for people to watch.
So based after everything that happened, when are you looking to sort of get back in the cage there? I know you got a few marks on there, but I imagine relatively healthy.
Yeah, I'm healthy as can be. I guess I would kind of see myself fighting June, July. I think that'd be ideal. A couple months to kind of go over, any mistakes that I made in that last fight and kind of refine some tools and, start getting ready for the next one. And I really don't know who it's going to be. There's a few guys that I think, are awesome fights for me, but, that really comes down to what the UFC thinks.
Right. Would you fight a guy like a Thomas Almeida, even though he's coming off a loss and he's still a relatively big name, or do you want more of a veteran like you had in this fight, like with Caraway?
I would fight Almeida. There's really not a lot of guys in that top 15 that I would say no to. I think ideally I'd fight someone that's like, a little higher up. I was looking at my manager thought about Rafael Sunsao. I don't think I'd get that fight because I think Sunsao is on like a 7-fight win streak. I think he's pretty close to getting his title shot, and I'm not sure he would take the chance to fight a guy that was ranked below him like that, or John Lineker. I think John Lineker would be a great matchup for me. I think that'd be a hell of a fight just because, stylistically we're both short guys. We're both going to be fighting hard in the pocket. I just think that, I have a lot more tools. I'm a lot more well-rounded than he is, and there's a lot of ways I can beat him. So, that's the name. Like if I had to tell you who would be the ideal guy for me to fight in my next fight, I would 100% say John Lineker would be the guy I want to fight because he's ranked number 5, and that'd be a big jump up for me.
Awesome. Well, we're certainly looking forward to your return to the cage, Cody. And again, congratulations on the win. Just remind people where they can get a hold of you on social media, and if you got any sponsors or shout outs, the floor is yours.
So my social media is just Cody Stamann, CODYSTAMANN, and thanks for taking the time. I told everyone I'd be in the top 10, and here we are. So looking nothing but up from here.
What's up, fight fans? If you like this video, be sure to subscribe to see even more interviews with your favorite UFC and Bellator fighters. We've also got coverage at events, including post-fight press conferences and media scrums. And if you like this video, check out the video to my right. It's worth your time.